No change, 3B. I'll be, I don't know how to do this here. No, it's, no, it's blocked. Right, up here, that's how you do it. I need that back, but now they'll tell you what each one of this.
the traffic is back, which is good news because everyone's going back to work and the schools are open. Um, Unfortunately, I got here late, so I apologize. So I know we do have a sort of a not a very long agenda, but I'm sure that there are many things that need to be discussed. Um, I want to first of all wish everybody a happy new year, and I hope that it's going to be a great year. Second, I wanted to acknowledge that many people are here, probably from what I'm seeing from Chadwick, Warwick, and um, Plymouth. Um, So we are going to discuss that as well. I know many people suffered from the flooding that we had a couple of weeks ago, and I just wanted to. I'm sure everybody by now knows that FEMA has called and declared this area, Nassau County, as disaster area, and I'm hoping that that is going to be able to give some help to our village as well. That as we had a meeting and uh, Congressman Swazi came here, obviously, I'm sure he explained to you that it may not happen right away, but I'm hoping that soon we'll hear something from the feds of how this is going to be done. I don't want to take the time too long to explain. I'm sure we're going to get to it soon. I just want to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll start the meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with justice and with liberty and justice for all. Um, okay. So you have a couple of reports. Building department, anything?
I just wanted to say that we sent out an additional 258 letters for expired permits. So we sent out an additional 258 letters for expired permits. Out of the 258 expired permit letters that went out, we had approximately 70 people respond to them. So we're starting to close out.
I'm sorry, one second. Do me a favor. I know that there are a lot of people here. I appreciate if the phones are on either mute or on vibrate, so it doesn't get disturbed. Okay, go ahead.
So out of the expired permits that we've sent out for all the residents that have expired permits, we had about 70 residents respond to the letters, come in and pay their fees. They've scheduled some inspections. We've closed out maybe half of them that have responded. So that program is going well. We're giving everybody 60 days from the time of the letter to close out expired permits. That's
Okay.
it.
Louis?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to finish the monthly report. I'll have it for you at the next meeting. But I didn't really have much to add. We were busy cleaning up from the storm. Uh, as you know, I probably picked up about, probably close to 100,000 pounds in debris.
Wow. Okay. All right. And as far as I mean, I just passed by Chadwick. There's still some stuff outside. I know
The
that
guys
there are
were
people
out,
putting
the
it
guys
as.
were out earlier. They picked up another, this evening they picked up a bunch more. Stuff keeps going out every day. So as people are clearing out, some houses have a couple of houses have basements. So as they're taking out some of the debris from the basement, it's just a time-consuming thing.
Right. I know. Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. So we have the public hearing. You want to start with the noise complaint first before we do the public hearings?
Oh,
We have two public hearings.
no, we don't
Old
have public
business.
hearings.
I don't have anything actually. Wait a minute. This is 9:14. We don't have public hearings, right?
No.
No, we're going to announce public hearings.
Correct.
Okay, so the new business.
Dr. Abraham is here to discuss a noise complaint from 503 Middle Neck Road, 505 and 509.
My name is Carl Abraham, 3 Baker Hill Road in Great Neck. I would like to thank Dr. Brawl and the board for being very patient and allowing the owner of Bagel Hut to work with me, and also Steve, the building superintendent, and cooperate and bring in a HIV system that is down in the range of 35 decibels, which is, prior to that it was 60 for about 15 years, annoying a lot of people. So we thank you all for that correction, so there's no more complaints with Bagel Hut. The next complaint is with, I'm sorry, Chosen Village. They have a HIV system over a shack outside of the building. It's connected to the building. The decibel reading is 60 decibels. But the code doesn't state that the decibel level is as important as Section S, if I may read it. If you read Section S, it states that any other noise of such character, intensity, and duration as to be detrimental to the life or health of any reasonable person of normal sensitivities or contrary to the public welfare is prohibited. Okay, that is part of your code, which does not relate to any level of decibel level. With reference to Chosen, and they have received violations over the years and blatantly ignored them, and they went by the wayside. And they have a system that's well over 30 years old. The motor is defective. It makes a lot of noise. It's on 24 hours a day. I happen to have a very nice backyard. I am into horticulture. No, in a barbecue area. We can't go there and eat dinner because of the constant noise. Okay, so I'm not only speaking for myself, I'm speaking for my neighbors. Mrs. Levian next door at 1, Daniel Ben Elahu, who lives right next to me on Berkshire, Brian Sagadopur, who lives across the street on the southern part of the corner of Berkshire Road, and Dr. David Wee, our neighbor 2 doors back. And the noise can be heard 2 blocks away, not only on Berkshire Road, but I walk the dogs every night. And there's one alley, it's 2 houses in, that it's straight through to Berkshire Road, and you can actually hear the noise from Chosen, and also the other store that I'm going to bring up is the Piece of Rocks. Okay, so I would like to, my application is in that if Pizza Hut, if Bagel Hut is able to perform what they had to perform to rectify a situation with limited expense, then I am recommending that we seek help from the board and the building superintendent in having them, having Chosen redo their system and bring it to the roof where it really belongs, not on the first floor right outside the alley, where it extends noise in all directions 24 hours a day. That was the first complaint, and they're all located at 505 Middle Neck Road. The problem is they've been ignoring any warnings and um, violations, actual violations for years. Okay. The second is Pizza Rocks, which is located at 509 uh, uh, Middle Neck Road. Now, let me just point out, I just have one photograph with me, and I hope you can see this. Okay, this is the system for Chosen. It's right on the first floor, right on the top of a shack. The motor, the motors are not working properly. They are old. They're defective, and they shouldn't be operating, annoying everybody else. They should go through the expense of satisfying the code, which has nothing to do with the decibel level. I just want to point out that Pizza Rocks is located here, and if you go halfway down the stairs, I never heard a fan, an exhaust fan, in the basement make so much noise. That exhaust fan can also be heard a block away, and the decibel level is 60 decibels. So I am also requesting that we get cooperation from the board and the building superintendent, and not warning them, but I'm sending a violation that they eliminate that noise so they satisfy Section M of the village code. And I thank you very much.
Um, Dr. Abraham, quick question on the Bagel Hut. Did they move it upstairs or they
No,
just
they
changed?
did such a beautiful job surrounding it and put a new motor, new system in, and it's down to 35 decibels.
I think the newer machines actually do much better.
Yes.
Steve, as far as any conversation with those two stores, I know that you have spoken to them. What's their response so far?
I have spoken to them in the past. Pizza Rocks, they were leaving the exhaust fan on at nighttime by accident. So they would shut it off. Apparently, they've been shutting it off. It seemed to be a little bit better. Chosen, when I went by there at 10 o'clock at night, they shut down and they unplug everything. They do not leave anything running at nighttime.
Oh,
During the day, there may be noise during the day, but there's nothing at nighttime because
Uh,
everything is unplugged and shut off.
Are
may,
they
may I inform the board, my family, as well as our neighbors, do not start dinner at 10 o'clock at night.
right? Are they within the code as far as the decibels that they're?
So when, in the past, previous inspectors went out there with decimal reader, they said they were within the code.
Excuse me, the code is based on decibels. My code from my code from a legal standpoint is based on a section, I think I think it's section M or S, whatever it is, and I just read it. It's based upon the quiet enjoyment that we all deserve living in the village of Great Neck. It has nothing to do with decibels. So when you send an inspector there, you send a building superintendent there, as well as myself. Decibel, and I have reading, all the instrumentation. Decibel levels are not important here. The noise is. And the noise bothers all the neighbors surrounding the alley.
I understand that. I mean, I totally agree with you. Listen, there are certain things we can change. I'm not even sure if we change it now, if they're going to be grandfathering on that decibel that was at one point considered a legal decibel level. I I came to that alley and I heard it with my own ears, and you're right, it's very loud. The only question is, are we able to enforce anything that is not in our code book, or can we explain the code as just being um, irritant to the neighborhood, and that they should probably just address it?
Yeah.
I would prefer to give specific legal advice to the board in executive session. However, broadly speaking, it is not uncommon for a village to provide for a period of time after which businesses must comply with a new standard. So that is one possibility. However, the more difficult thing has always been with noise ordinances, the enforcement of those provisions of a code that talk about unreasonable noise or noise that would annoy a reasonable person. They have not been uniformly successful when challenged in court.
Okay.
But Mr. B, as an attorney, that's part of our code.
Yes, sir, it is.
Good. That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
Maybe if they planted some Leland cypress or some arborvitaes along that stretch along the railroad tie wall there, as they grow, it'll kill the sound off some. It'll shed.
No, you need what you, Louis, what you need if you want to go in that direction, because I know sound, is put up the same wall you find along highways that protect the highway noise for the people living beyond that high wall that absorbs and dissipates the decibel level. We can't do that.
Maybe you can set up a meeting with the two owners, and then maybe we can discuss. No, maybe we should have a meeting. Right, but I think it's good for them to hear. I'm sure they don't want to disturb the neighbors, so if we tell them, maybe they're willing to do something. Okay.
But we can't have it go, if I might point this out, till 10 o'clock at night and allow them to shut it off so people can sleep a little. Okay, and by the way, it goes 24 hours a day, and they shut it off maybe 1 or 2 days after you spoke with them. Right after that, it was on 24 hours a day.
Right, so I think what I would like to do is to explain to them that there are people complaining, and see what the...
They're not going to do anything. First of all, the pizza place is not making money. They're losing a lot of money. So we don't know how long they're going to last. But the fact is, there's no reason to have that big noisy fan down there. Okay,
we understand, and we're going to try to address it.
Let me see if I can get them to a meeting.
Well, more than address it, they have to change it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I see. I didn't hear the change. I just heard talking. Okay.
I'll try to have a meeting with them and address it as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl.
All right.
Okay.
Next,
My computer decided to shut down. Okay. All right, go ahead.
next item is a discussion on flooding in Chadwick, Plymouth, and Warwick.
Okay, thanks. All right. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we are obviously aware of what happened, and you would like to represent everybody?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, okay. Well, good evening.
good evening.
And
Just,
my name, yes,
and if you can
I'll
just
get
speak
to that.
louder. Right.
Okay, can you hear me well?
Okay,
Should I take this off?
it's up to you.
Okay. Can everybody hear? Can you hear me now? Much better.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so I've been asked to speak on behalf of the neighborhood group. That includes everybody and anybody who's been affected by any of the flooding we've had over the years.
I'm sorry, I didn't
So-
catch your name.
Okay, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm getting to that. Okay, so my name is Wendy Tappel. I've been very active in this community. I've worked on the executive boards at all of our schools north. I've worked at the community or adult ed program for over 15 years, recently retired. And so I've also lived here for 42 years. And in all the years that I've been here, I have never experienced anything like this last storm. The disaster that was caused, I have a home with no basement. Warwick Road has never had water, ever, in my 42 years of living here. the streets that were hardest hit, which was Chadwick and Plymouth, have had floods over many of the years. Even if we had heavy rains, there may have been not this extent of damage, but we have had flooding on Baker Hill Road, which flowed in both directions on Plymouth, and I'm sure you know this. Okay. So we could say that this was a perfect storm. However, over the 42 years I've been here, we've seen flooding. We've struggled during our storms and experienced the inefficiency of our drainage system. This has become a hardship for many of the families living here on an ongoing basis. And I won't say, or I do say, that our public works people have helped out many, many times. In the wintertime, I've asked that they don't push the snow and block the drains, because once that becomes ice, then you have water. The water has no place to go. And Louis has been very cooperative in helping us with that. I actually have 2 drains in front of my house, which is a North Hempstead drain and a village drain. And I've contacted the North Hempstead people to address the issue there as well. Anyway, our infrastructure of our drainage system has not been, or we haven't dealt with what has to be done in our village government to upgrade and ensure proper drainage in our neighborhood. And to my knowledge, I don't recall, and I may be wrong, that there's ever been an evaluation by an outside engineering company or any construction plans to improve and expand our drainage system. Therefore, our neighborhood group, which has recently been formed, is asking for the following steps to be taken. First, the village government must create a committee to work on a long-term drainage issue. Community members must be a part of these discussions. 2, an engineering team must be hired to review current drainage design and identify issues that have contributed to the ongoing flooding issue. Proper funding must be allocated to ensure that this project takes priority and is done swiftly and efficiently. At this time, the community needs assistance with removal of garbage, which I know you've been doing, and clearing the drains on an ongoing basis to avoid any further damage. The families that have been affected can now contact and register, as you've said, to get FEMA assistance. However, the damage far exceeds the financial burden that we request the village to provide additional financial aid, maybe through emergency funds or tax abatement, grants, or any other means available. All of the above are very important issues, but the bigger picture is ensuring that our elected officials in the village government take the appropriate steps to resolve the issues and ultimately, ultimately keep our property values at a high standard. This is our community, and we need your help. We've elected you. We need your support, and we need to know that you care enough so that whatever can be done is followed through. So now that we've asked for we've requested these various things, what's your response? What can we do? And we hope that we can work together to make it a better place to live.
Okay, thank you. I took some of your points. I think creating the village committee that you mentioned, I think is a great idea. So we can have, and I think we discussed it with Esther. I don't know if she's here, and a couple of other people to have a liaison that is going to be in touch with probably Brian in the village. So that's something that we already have discussed. I did speak prior to Congressman Swazi coming. I spoke to him and I spoke to other officials, expressing the desperate need that the village has for the area to be actually declared a disaster area, for us to be able to get FEMA help. Now, I don't know when and how this is going to plan out. I'm glad that a few days after they came, maybe it's coincidence that they did consider this area a disaster area. As far as saying if we care, of course. I mean, I was there that Wednesday night. I was trying to go and see what the damages are, and it was just heartbreaking to see what happened to the neighborhood. It's just down the block from where I am. I mean, it's just I could have walked to it, but unfortunately there was too much rain. And I went there with Louis, and we were going around to see exactly what the areas are. So this area obviously was very hard hit, but if you go down even on Middle Neck Road and Piccadilly, and it was Old Mill, there was a huge river, and there was
Yes.
actually a cop car that got stuck with the cops sitting on top because they needed to be rescued. So this happened, unfortunately, extreme. And, you know, I don't like to call it a perfect storm. It was actually the worst storm that I've seen in my life in Great Neck. So as far as funding and financing, I will discuss that and see what we can do. But I think more important as far as what we can do, I have spoken to Abraham regarding getting another engineer to come in and see if we can do another study. I spoke to Bart, the deputy mayor, as well, to see if we can bring an engineer. I don't know if it's correct that no studies has been done. I think about, what was it, 15 or 18 years ago?
One done in 77,
77?
and there was another one done in 2002, I believe.
Right.
It's a long time ago,
Right, no, I know.
Yes.
I'm not saying, we don't do these studies on a yearly basis, but
of course.
it was done, and I think there was a change on Chadwick. They actually put a bigger drain. Now, I don't know what could be done to avoid such a storm, because this was unprecedented, and I don't know when is the next time that it's going to happen. If we do believe in
region is-
global,
We didn't have this much damage. I mean, as I said, 42 years on my home, I never had a drop of water. Even Sandy and
Right.
people's trees, obviously you knew what that looked like. I mean, took out my whole easement in the back of my backyard.
Right.
That being said,
you didn't have
Sandy
flooding.
was, I never had one drop of water in my home.
Right. So this was about 3 to 5 inches of rain in 1 hour, and I don't know. Again, I don't know what it's required, and if it's even possible to be able to provide a drainage system that is going to be able to handle this much water. I have discussed it with the people who live in that neighborhood of possibly even helping with change of the zone, so maybe they can actually raise their homes so that in case there is flooding, the water won't enter their houses. Because right now most people in that area do not have a basement.
But if that were the case, because I spoke to somebody today, and they did that during Sandy, with the homes that
Right,
were near the
in
water.
South Shore.
But that being said, all of us now are reconstructing. We have to reconstruct. We don't have any choice.
Right.
So no one is coming in now to elevate our homes. That being said, once we've reconstructed, because we can't live there, and I mean, I lost my entire main floor. So that being said, we have to correct it. Something like that, for them to elevate, you can't inhabit. You have to be out. And it took the people at Sandy, because I spoke to a few people today, it took them it was like months,
Right.
maybe sometimes up to 2 years.
Right.
So something like that would be wonderful, but it's not something that's practical right now. To me,
It's
the
not going to affect you right now, but obviously, even if we come in and bring an engineer,
Yes.
the recommendations only can help the future possible damages, which most likely, again, may happen, and I hope it doesn't. And I hope it doesn't happen for another 100 years. But that said, we can just be going through wishful thinking. I think getting an engineer to come in and reevaluate again after about 18 years that it was done, it's a good idea. We have discussed it, and as far as possible change of zone, it's something that we can actually discuss much sooner than that, or at least do it simultaneously with reevaluating the drainage system.
Because let me just say one thing. If you looked at Great Neck, the village, everyone incorporated in this village, and you went street by street, and I actually discussed this with Louis at one point, the waters that accumulate here, and Baker Hill Road obviously starts at Middle Neck Road and it goes down and the water flows. Warwick Road was never affected before, and even though the water kept going down, but the drainage system, I don't know the drainage system, but wherever the water goes, if you look at all the other parts of Great Neck, where does that water go? How is it that there were parts that were totally unaffected and yet they weren't on higher ground? So I'm not an engineer, but I'm a practical person. So to me, if I sat down and I said, okay, here's your engineering. This is the plan we have now. What can we do so water flows in maybe a different direction so that there isn't the clogging?
Right.
On my home, and most people don't know this, but on Baker Hill Road to Warwick, the entire back of every single home there years ago was built with an easement. I'm the only person that has an easement intact. Everyone else let their backyards, the grass overgrow. And so I have a major drain in my backyard that's been there forever, that has been kept clean because of me on my property. Water flows in there, and it goes from people who are above me, behind me, on the side of me, and which shows you that also people don't always retain their water, which is a totally another issue. But the bottom line is that we do have the drains. They're there. The question is how is the water flowing on Chadwick and Plymouth, that those areas in particular, that backup actually started moving to Warwick and maybe the next street next time, et cetera, et cetera. Um, that's why I feel, and the people who I'm, representing, we just want to have an evaluation for someone, an engineer to come in and look at it and say, listen, maybe we can take some of it and build another drain somewhere else so water goes in this direction or that direction. But there's definitely have to be some sort of resolution,
I
and
agree
that's
with you,
what we're
and
asking for.
I think it can also be the slope of the streets.
That's-
the way
that's right.
I'm not talking about the slope of the the hills that we have, but how you can slope down to one side and the other. Maybe that can also shift the water to the other side.
Because the town too. The town is right. The house next to me is the town of North Hempstead, and I called them and I said, if you look up the hill, all that water comes right down. Maybe it should be shifted so that the street is curved, and accordingly for Chadwick
Right.
and Plymouth, so
So-
water goes elsewhere.
As you said, you're not an engineer, neither am I.
Right.
So I think what I'm proposing now, and I have discussed it with my board even before this, and
Uh-huh.
I spoke to the individuals that I met in Chatwick
Mhm.
and Plymouth, is to actually bring in, and we tried to actually see if we can bring them tonight, but we were not able to. But we are going to have a discussion with them between now and the next meeting. And I will have Brian to speak maybe to you.
Okay.
To let you know about the discussions and if
Mhm.
we're going to be able to have some kind of a presentation.
Okay.
Or their presentation, maybe they can come in and if they have enough time to evaluate the situation and give a presentation to the public, I would have that in the next meeting. If not, if they need more time to do the study,
Mhm.
we put it on the following week, which is going to be the third week in October.
Okay,
Uh,
we just want it to be as obviously to be a priority. That's what we're asking
You
for,
are a
that we
priority.
don't just sweep
No,
it
no,
under
you-
the rug
listen.
and wait another how many years, Louis? I don't know, whatever it is. I mean,
Correct.
I plan on staying here, and most of the people here want to stay here, and the only way we're going to have a good community is to help us. You don't want to see our, properties devalue themselves. Of course not.
Absolutely not. So I think there are a few things we can do, and I think one of
Mhm.
the things that I mentioned to change the zone that can actually significantly increase the value of the properties, because usually that does happen. If again, I really appreciate if you can have your phones on mute or vibrate. So it is. We are going to do whatever we can in our power as the board to
Mhm.
help the community with the home values, because that's the last thing we want to happen. Everybody benefits from the home values in that area,
Mhm.
not to just maintain the value, but actually have a higher value. And we will do whatever we can in our power, and I can give you my word on that,
Right.
to make sure that you have not only the value, but actually have better values in hopefully near future. As
How
far as-
often, let me ask you a question, because people wanted to know, how often do we actually get these drains cleaned? In other words, was there also the fact that maybe on Chadwick, the big drain that goes across, was that full of leaves in addition to the heavy water that came down? I could tell you that on Warwick, North Hempstead drain was completely covered. I went out and I cleaned that drain, and it didn't matter because the water just kept bubbling up. You know,
Right, so
it was
I
basically
think
a
I spoke
moat.
to Louis a couple of weeks before that,
Mhm.
and he was there.
So Wendy, every year I rent a truck and I suck out those basins. Every year. Usually in June is when I do it. When as you know, I've been here almost 40 years myself,
Mhm.
working for the village besides living here.
Mhm.
Um, it, when I first started here, it wasn't common practice to go in the basin and clean drains. It's just not something that people did. And when we did them, we would go in there and literally shovel them out by hand. In 2002, when Mayor Falk was the mayor, he instructed me to go around and label all of the catch basins and piping, and we had H2M come in and they gave us the inverts and inside the manhole how high the pipes was, what size the pipes was, and we we mapped out the entire village of the drainage system. He also had H2M redo that same drainage study that was from 1977. Um, Most of those houses up in that area, if not all of the houses in that area, were built on pilings. When I happened to be the one that was walking through all the yards mapping the stuff. When I was doing it, some basins were no good, some were plugged meaning deliberately plugged for
Mhm.
whatever reason, who knows. Um, as we did that, we were looking at where the water goes. All the water ends up at Udall's Pond. All this water in this area sheds, whether it's Town of North Hempstead's water, whether it's the Village of Great Neck's water, or whether it's Nassau County's water, it all eventually ends up at Udall's Pond. So all that water that you see coming on Middle Neck Road,
Mhm.
on Fairview Avenue, on Beach Road, all that water is going there. I think it was 2013, I want to say, Nassau County, Ralph Kreitzman was the mayor, and
Mhm.
Ralph had gotten Nassau County to um, put another pipe alongside the pipe that's still, I think that pipe is still in place also, underneath Piccadilly, from
Mhm.
Piccadilly,
Mhm.
um, I think the name of the apartment building is the Verizon, I don't know what exactly.
Versailles.
What is it?
Versailles.
What is it?
The Versailles.
Versailles.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
they came all the way through that and they put a new pipe, cleaned everything out, put another pipe on the Middle Neck Road, that the water comes through his lot, and again, that big channel, that big spot that you see on Woolies Lane,
Yes.
that I've never seen that water. I've seen that water up to the top of that thing. I've seen that water on the grass over there, but this time the water was well over there, and that's with the second pipe in there. Um, since they put that pipe in there, it's been a lot better. Um, I don't know that the Nassau County is cleaning their basins. I don't know that Town of North Hempstead is cleaning
Well,
theirs.
I have addressed that with Nassau, with the town of North Hempstead, and then Nassau County. So, I've tried to reach out to them as well and to our legislators to assist us in those areas. The question becomes, as I say, I think if we do get an engineer in, and you've done studies, that if you put everything together, if we need more piping or whatever can possibly be done,
The one thing
that's
that
what we
I can
need to
say
do.
is when the pipe is full, it's full.
Right. Well, that's,
There's just no more water
yeah, I
coming
get
in.
that. I do
So,
get that.
so whether there's debris at the bottom of the pipe, right
Mhm.
up to the bottom of the
Mhm.
pipe, or it's down, once the water fills up to the bottom of the pipe, it's full. So whether it's water or sand, it's irrelevant. It's full, it's full.
Right. Well, that's why I'm saying maybe we need to find another outlet, meaning another place for water to run, which I can't. We're not engineers,
No,
like you said.
Right.
So
that night, I was personally out there myself.
I know you
You
were.
saw me.
I know you were.
The mayor, I picked him
I
up from his house
I
and he drove
understand.
around with me for a few hours riding around
I know, you don't have, nobody has the answer. And I understand, nobody has the answer right now, you know.
I'm sorry. This is something I witnessed prior to Hurricane Ida. Yeah, my name is Roya Yahudai. I live at 15 Chadwick Road. This is something I witnessed, my husband and two other neighbors, prior to Hurricane Ida, Hurricane Henry. I came from a city, it was night. I came to driveway and I went up to here in the water. I told my husband this water is coming inside the house. So my husband, when I came out in the matter of 5 minutes, it was exactly like this to come into my house. So I got frantic, I got so angry. My husband and two neighbors, one of the Kobe and the other one, they went and they tried, they were up to here into water under the knee. It was Hurricane Henry, not Ida. And they went to clean the drain, and there was no leaves, there was no garbage. And that time also, the swear was backing up, and that was not a 5 inch of water. That was not Hurricane Ida. That was Hurricane Henry, which was not as the perfect storm as that. So I swear, in the matter of like, I was praying and then the rain stopped. If the rain wouldn't stop, I promise you, the water would have come to my house Saturday night, Hurricane Henry. And I live here 15 years, 4 times. It's too much. I don't know, what should we do? I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to sell my house. I love my house. We need just help to fix this problem. That's all I'm saying.
So again, I don't know if we're going to have an answer tonight. Um, but we are, as I mentioned, we are going to have Brian to have your information, and then he'll call you.
Brian knows where to contact me.
Okay, so-
Whatever, if I can be a liaison, great. If we can have whatever
Of
you
course.
decide to do in terms of a committee.
I think the most important thing for me at this time is to have an engineering company, which
Yes.
most likely is going to be H2M, who has done this and knows
Okay.
knows the wells well, to come in and actually address it to the board and see if they have a suggestion. Again, I don't know if they're going to have a suggestion. They may. I'm hoping that they're going to come up with some kind of a resolution. But again, I don't know until they come in and say, it's going to be this is going to be the cost, and then we have to find out
Right.
how we're going to go about it,
Right.
if it's going to be Nassau County, the town, the state, who's going to, the feds, someone's going to
Right.
be able to come in and hopefully get it done.
I think most of the families understand that. It's just, at this point, as you can see, there's a lot of emotion, and
I
there's a lot
understand.
of
I
hardship.
totally sympathize
And
that.
so, of course, and so basically, what we would like is what I explained, is that we
I-
just want you to be supportive, do the job that you have to do in order to see if we can correct it. Because long-term, it's not, we know that there's climate change. I know people don't believe that, but there is. And every year, it's something else. Like, we're going to have a very bad winter this year. They're predicting lots of cold weather and lots of snow.
I hope it's not true.
Again, I hope not, but that's what originally they said mild, now they say no. So that's why I say, when it comes to snow, we cannot block any of the drains on those streets because the water has no place to go. And Louis, you know that, because they've been very attentive to the drains on Warwick, because those back up with that blockage of ice. There's no place for water to
Okay.
go.
So
anyway.
I think
Let me just say
Yeah.
a few things as well. So, also too, Mayor, maybe the board and yourself don't even realize it as well. Um, this past summer, current season, I rebuilt a lot of basins that were on Croydon Avenue, which is all part of that same system. So inside the basement, new tops on, take a walk down Croydon and take a look and see. That's one thing. As far as the snow, you know that I always come out there. I'm not gonna stop and start, oh, let me swing it the other way to plow. I can't block the drain. After the storm, I always come around and make sure they're always open. You know that I do that.
Yeah.
Not that
No, I'm
way.
just saying, from even on Chadwick and Plymouth,
Right,
I don't know
that
what's
pipe
been going on.
That's coming across Chadwick is a 36-inch pipe. That's a
Yes.
tremendous volume of water.
Hmm. I understand, and we all understand.
You would think nothing would clog that thing.
Hmm. Right, right. Okay, well, as I say, thank you for listening, and I hope we can work together and somehow resolve it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you very
All right.
much.
Good luck, guys. All right.
And also too, if there is a storm, you guys can call the DPW. We're always out. Wendy has my cell phone number. Most people have my number. I mean, I appreciate if you don't call me and tell me, hey, my garbage was missed on a Sunday afternoon. But I'm pretty good with giving people my cell phone number. And anybody could have called me that night and said, hey, Lou, this thing is really backing up. And I would have said to you that night, yeah, everything is backing up, as I did when I drove down the street. But I want to say that it doesn't really help the working man when you guys are out here screaming at us, and I get that you're all excited about it, but we're out here working, doing the best that we can too. And there's only so much that we can do when the system is under. That storm is a pretty rare occurrence, but we are out there working, and I don't know any of my guys or myself that wants to see anybody lose their home or anything in their home. I felt just as bad as if it was my own house. And give the guys a little bit of a break. They're out there, they're working. If you need us, you just give us a call. We'll come out.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Is it on the same topic?
Yeah, just quickly.
Yes.
My name is, come to the front. It's just a quick add-on to. It's just a quick add-on to what was said. Marlene Torres for Bentley.
Thank you.
It's just a quick add-on to what was just said, that to be sure, I was looking at the village zoning map, the flood zone map, and hopefully to be sure that the engineer's review includes all the flood-prone areas. I know my neighbors on these other blocks have been hard hit, but I was also hit on Bentley. So I saw that there's a flood-prone area map, a village zoning map. So I just want to be sure that it's a comprehensive, to
Yes.
be sure that it's addressed at a macro level. So I just wanted to add that on.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to add to your Bentley Road.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bentley Road backs up to Old Colony Road, and everything is funneled back into there, and those backyards on Old Colony go underwater as well. And all, from my experience, almost all of those streets, Bentley, Old Colony, um, all the way up through the Baker Hill section, there was drains in between the two houses from street to street that over years people neglected, blew over. They're old, they're probably 100-year-old drains, but there was drains that went through all through those backyards that would collect water. Now, I've gone through, you could go through back some of them, and you'll see the grates are clogged, you're not getting them up. Those are not village drains. Those are drains that the homeowner is supposed to maintain. And who knows how many times these houses have flipped and sold. But when I was walking through those yards back in 2002 when I was mapping them, all of those drains were clogged. I don't think there was any of them that was good.
What could we do about that now?
I don't I could never even find at that time where they even emptied out into. If they were just, most of them were just shallow. They were about maybe 2 feet deep, and I don't know if it was just to pick up the water, to get the water away from your house, but I could never figure out, and H2M could never figure out, when they were the engineers at the time, where these things even were connected to.
If they were connected.
What's that?
If they were connected.
If they were connected.
It might have been a primitive dry well or something
Well,
like that.
it wasn't that. I think that they were, my theory is that they were built by the builder to keep the water away from the house.
Right. I mean, they do that now all the time. Some areas in Duxbury and other places, that they actually put these big pipes to collect the water for it not to gather. They put these pipes and they cover it with sand or little pebbles to make sure that the water just gets in and not accumulate in the backyard. So it could be that. But again, we've heard, and I think I really sympathize with you. I've seen the houses and I saw the damage that it has been, and it just really, really sad to see that you guys are going through it. And I promise you that this board will do whatever it can to bring the engineers, and as far as anything that this board can do as far as changing the zoning, which is going to help, I believe, as well. We will look into it as well, and I discuss it with the council and see what we can do.
I just have one other thing to ask you.
Yeah.
What does one do when the property owners, like Louis just said, the people who don't, the homeowners that are not maintaining the drains that are on their property? Like I said to you, I have a huge drain on my property. And if we go back many, many years before Louis, you know, they
Wendy's
had come
drain
and
is probably
inspected
the
that,
size of
that
this
drain.
table and maybe even as deep as this table across her whole backyard.
Right, and I maintain it. I maintain it.
I don't know if everyone has the same drain you have.
No, but people do. What the problem is that, and Louis can tell you, when it was constructed, all those backyards on Warwick had part of the easement. But what they've done is they've allowed their backyards to overgrow. They have pipes coming from their homes into that area, and what happens? The water, it doesn't even flow to the drain, and if it does, it overflows because what happens is they're not maintaining the water on their properties.
I don't know if they can maintain in that area. Again, I don't want to go and.
But how does one address that if the people, if it's not owned by the village and the people are not doing it? What does one do?
Right. Right. I think it's a discussion with the engineer, and also you have to realize the water plate is so high there that you can't even have a proper dry well. So you can't. I can't expect people to.
Is that a dry well?
I know.
Is that a dry well?
I know. I'm just saying it. So to say that they have to be able to maintain their water in their own property, I don't know if that's going to apply to that area. Again, that's something that we're going to discuss again with the engineer to see what we can come up with. Again, as I said, I'm not an engineer. I can possibly engineer a body, but I can't really do anything with the drainage system.
Mayor, aside from the drainage, the water table in that area is extremely high.
Right, I just mentioned.
When they were building, I think it's number 100 Croydon, it was a duck pond. When they were doing Southgate, a house on Southgate 20 years ago, it was a duck pond. I mean, literally, there was 4 feet of 5 feet of water when they dug out for that slab.
All right. So anyway, so I'm hoping that the engineers can come up with some brilliant way of giving us an idea to fix this. Anyway, again, thank you very much, everybody, for coming.
Just give it 1 second.
Okay. You guys are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting also if you have nothing better to do.
Should I try to tell him to go into the hall?
Well, just give it 1 second.
No, it's very sad. It's very sad. But as far as changing.
Okay, we are going to continue with the meeting. She's the one that she's so tired. Mayor, right? Okay, the next item on the agenda that we have is a presentation by Mojo Stumer Associate on the design of the new village hall.
I know. We should have probably presented this before so everybody hears, but. All right.
Abraham. Yes. 1 second, just to read this.
Pay for what? Sure.
Because it's not popping up on the side screen.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Okay, 1 second. I'll be back.
You'll be back.
I just wanted to make sure it comes up on the screen. Now it's connected to just this one. He's a docent. Okay, it's up.
I should have asked you to opine on the situation on Chatwick.
Thank you. For not including me.
Oh, thank you for that. What's going on with that computer? It keeps just shutting off. No, it keeps shutting off.
This in my pocket. How's that? Can everybody hear? Can everybody hear okay? Okay. First, let me address a little higher. How's that?
Better.
Is that good? I'd like to address the board and thank you for having us here tonight. I'd like to say that we're very, very proud tonight to present to you the new Great Neck Village Hall that we've been working on diligently with the trustees. We were very honored when we were selected for this project. I've personally been a Peninsula resident for over 30 some odd years, and I've had my practice in this area for 41 years. And we're very proud of the projects we've done in town, the new bakery, the firehouse, some of the new buildings going up, many of the buildings along Northern Boulevard. And as I said, I dedicated my own time and my staff's time to making this a very, very, very special building and something that will be passed on to our children and our children's children who live in this community with an efficient, well laid out, beautifully executed, hopefully astounding building. So we're very proud of it, and with that, let's go. So location. I'm going to go to this one, it's easier. The subject property is located on Middle Neck Road, down towards the end. It's right next to the Courtyard Shopping Center, which is here, which has the large parking lot in the back. So one of the issues that is a major consideration in any projects going up in the peninsula or in Great Neck is parking. There is plenty of parking, and the good news about, too, the parking area in this space is that the majority of these stores and shops use the parking during the day, so in evenings when the Village Hall would have its largest amount of participants, the parking lot is more than efficient for that. Our concept in the site plan is very interesting. We're pushing the building back onto a beautiful plaza. As per our discussions last time, we are raising the building up now about 2-3 feet from the street level so that there will be a presence to the building as it sits on the ground. And we've been able to work out through a ramp that will be sort of hidden by a plant, a ramp up to it without it being very visible for handicap accessibility. But apropos to what we were just discussing, all the water will run away from this building and not at all flood the basement or anything else because of the pedestal that it'll be on. Can you go back one, please? Okay. One of the other important things is public access to the building. Of course, every building has to have a main door, which you'll see. We have public access directly from the street to the building, but where are most people coming from to go to this building? From the back. We've created a secondary entry, which is just as important, from the back, coming into a large lobby. So from the front entry and the back entry, you enter the same lobby. You don't enter a back door, you don't go through a back corridor. The experience of entering the building is exactly the same from both sides. If you choose to walk around the building against the Kings Point Auto building here, we're creating a plaza, which you'll see in our renderings. A pedestrian plaza open to anybody using the parking lot with benches, trees, and blockage from that road, pushing the building closer to the sidewalk this way while maintaining the sidewalk. You actually walk under the building, the second-story overhang, to get back to the parking lot. So the pedestrian experience is extremely considered in the overall layout of this. 2 entrances to the same lobby, whether you come in front or you come in back. The pedestrian courtyard. You want to go out on a night like this and discuss something, there's a courtyard to go into or a lobby. For the help and the staff in the building, there's a place to congregate outside the building. If there's anybody who still smokes, if there's people that just want to have their lunch, if somebody wants to sit down on a bench and contemplate life, we're giving them the opportunity outside this building. Okay, next. Just an overall quick picture of the site. Next. We're not here tonight to get into the details of the building. I'll go through these quickly. Basically, the building, again, is very well laid out as per the needs of the town and the requirements of all the departments we've worked with. This will develop a little further as we get going, but as a floor plan and to orientate you without going into detail of the inside, here's Middle Neck Road. Here's the driveway in between the courtyard building and, sorry, is that me?
Yeah, you probably too close to the speaker.
Okay, sorry. The courtyard building and the courtyard building and the driveway. This is the auto building over here, or the auto sales building. This is the courtyard that we're creating that'll be totally treed off with sitting areas. These are the 2 entrances. Entrances off of Middle Neck Road, entrance off the vestibule in the back, looking the same into a general lobby. Stair is centralized, there's elevators, and the rest of it has been worked out with the town as to with the village to their exact needs and requirements. Keep going, we can go through these quickly. There's 3 floors. We have just for your interest now, a beautiful new courtroom with 150 seats, conference rooms, mayor's offices, and a reception lounge outside the courtroom. So if 30 or 40 people have to leave the entrance to the room here, you're not boggled into a little corridor, you're not thrown outside. There's a place to discuss things and come back into the courtroom. Now the most important thing, keep going please. Overall look. We started with the concept of making it a monumental building, but yet adding elements of modernism to it and keeping it in a level that would be respectful for the town, yet be fun and exciting and have a government type of feeling or a government facade, governmental type facade. Hence, we have the big plaque outside with the Great Neck Village Hall, a touch of wood around the entry, limestone, small windows going across here, a setback roof area, an open roof terrace around for employees to go outside from within the building, and the courtyard going down that way. Rather than go through every aspect of the renderings, let me just go through slowly, but go through each one so you get a feeling. This is the front elevation. Next, please. Front elevation at night. Now, one of our concepts, this is the screening against the automobile showroom. This is the courtyard through, this is the entry. On the courtyard building, that plain brick wall, we're proposing the concept of a mural that the town will put up. So the building at night from across the street has, I think, a really great glow to it. It reads as a village hall or as a town hall or a governmental type gathering place. It doesn't look like anything else, yet it'll quietly, I think, extol respect. Go to the next one, please. This is that courtyard walking through. So you'll actually have this incredible courtyard, vegetation. You see this big staircase, so you will actually look into the building and see people circulating between the floors of the building, yet it's totally enclosed on the side of the building for, like I say, a meeting space. That's that side elevation as if you were stepped further back. You really wouldn't see it like this, but we just did it in the rendering to give you an idea of what each elevation. This is now the side that borders the courtyard building with the mural. As you go through this, we have a touch of wood to make it quiet. There's a rear entry out of the building for employees and staff and or an entry in. It's covered through most of it as you walk around the back, and we changed a little bit of the texture to pronounce the front area over here, or the side area. Keep going, please. The back elevation similar to the front. Similar entry, as I say, you enter the back or you enter the front with the same entry experience, not having a feeling like you're coming into the back end of the building. A night shot of what that building will glow at night. And that's it. Thank you. Where's the handicap entrance? Okay, there's two handicap entrances. There's a handicap entrance off the back here, level with the parking lot. There's a handicap entrance from the front. Can you go to the floor plan, please? With an actual ramp that doesn't look like a ramp. It's hidden by the planter. Handicap, so right here. By raising the front, the slant actually slopes up towards the back. By raising the front like this, creating, and it's important too, I've lived in this town, and a lot of areas where I live got flooded too, that have never flooded before. So the discussion before was very interesting. By raising the building up on a pedestal, let's say around 2.5 feet from the sidewalk level, really gives you a better opportunity of not having flooding. Then you have the issue of if the building's up 2.5 feet, how do you get the handicap into it? And usually you would have a ramp. This works out perfectly that we can come around here and slowly, without steps, slowly slope up to the entry. So both entries are handicap accessible. Once in the building, there's elevators.
How far physically, foot-wise, from parking, how far physically?
Oh, from the parking, there'll be handicap spots right along, the closest spots to the back entry will be handicap accessible. I'm going to say 20 feet away. The back entry is also handicap accessible, and the parking spots back there, I'm sure, we haven't done a parking site plan yet. It'll be, but the closest 15 sites to the back door will be handicap marked. Yeah.
Also a question, with your front facade and the cement or whatever
That's-
you're using for the ground,
It-
what's
the-
going to happen in the winter when it's freezing and ice? It's so smooth.
Well, we're going to try in our budget to put a heated walkway in. All right, we've been doing that with the advent today of the new radiant heated floors. The piping systems are much more durable, and they've become very inexpensive as compared to years ago. So we should be able to put a system in. But if not, we'll be using a limestone or a brick type of composite or a cement composite, and would have to be shoveled, like anything. But depending on budget, we're going to propose a radiant. At least at the two entry points, maybe not along the side back, because you could walk in off the street or park in the parking lot in the snowstorm and walk in. But that's a good question.
I mean, there's another problem, I don't know there a lot. Traffic coming in the entrance can really be nasty.
That we don't have any control over.
You know, nasty at night. Are you gonna put a light, I mean, the village, can you put a light in, or what are you gonna do about getting in and out?
Honestly, I know a lot about the architect. I don't know about the traffic.
About the traffic.
About having a light.
Traffic light?
I
Do you want to come up and speak at the mic so we can hear?
go into the driveway?
I'll walk away, so.
Deanne Rafael, 107 Maple Street. I'm concerned about the entrance, the entrance and egress from the lot itself, to the street. That parking sometimes is really tough. You're coming around. This is the entrance over here, right?
Go, no, stay, we'll get it. Keep going.
Okay.
The
No,
entrance,
just
go to
bring-
the psychic, go one back, please. Go one more. Go one forward, right there. There's the entrance right there. It's a
Coming
double
in here,
entry right there.
This is a mess. You ever sit there a while, that car's coming in and out.
But they're going in and out now. So you're saying, what's the question?
Well, let's say you're having 150 people coming in for a meeting.
Right.
I want to know how you're getting in and out of here, because it gets very crowded. Is there going to be some type of light, or is it just going to wait till you to make the left-hand turn on for Middlebank into the entrance?
I don't think there's going to be a light. I
I come to the gym in the morning and think it's sometimes hard to get in.
right.
And also exiting. Okay, if there's not a lot of traffic, it's okay, but sometimes it's a problem. And I have another question while I'm here.
Yes.
Are you putting hearing loops in?
Yes, that can be hearing loops, definitely.
That's very
In the conference room, the state of the art of all new conference meeting centers, civic centers do have all hearing impaired.
Is that throughout the building or just?
No, not throughout the building.
No,
No.
okay, so it's in the
It's-
main, well,
Right, it would be
In the court.
in the courtroom,
yeah.
and if possibly in some of the secondary conference areas. But the new courtroom will have state-of-the-art facilities. It could have teleprompters, lots of different. It's not going to be two screens coming off a wall with a camera
I
like
understand,
this.
But I mean, sitting here, it's really difficult for us to hear.
Right.
We hope to improve that.
So you'll improve
1,000%.
About 50,000.
Okay. Any other questions I could help answer? Yes, sir.
Will the roof have solar panels?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, a certain percentage of the roof will have solar. We're actually going to look into, and this is a very good question, and I'll give you part of the answer now, to creating somewhat of a Leeds building, depending on budget. Recirculated urinal and toilet water, recirculating heat pump water, and definitely some percentage solar. Oh, I'm sorry. And definitely some percentage of solar. There's requirements today also, these government buildings have that. Yes, sir. You're always good.
I know you. From the beginning, you're making it awfully comfortable for the staff to be outside most of the time. So, and
Fresh air too.
you might be out there more than you're in. Okay. The courtyard with the benches, etc. Very nice idea. But what's going to happen at night time with people that are going to loiter, like we do have in our area, like outside the post office, the convenience store, and our village green? That might be a little problem.
I think with the proper lighting and the fact that the staircase will be so open and public, it's not going to be.
I'm thinking at night time.
There'd be lighting at night, or in all honesty, there could be a chain to close it off and make it illegal to walk there at night.
Okay, because
That's
we
a
do have
board.
a big
That's
problem
a
in
board.
this area.
Yeah.
There'll be security cameras. It'll be
Okay.
not, the village green is not cambered up, and this will be.
Okay. You have a flat roof.
Yes.
Are you going to be collecting rainwater from the flat roof, like the library? They put in some kind of system so it would go back into.
Yes, we're going to recirculate water.
Okay.
Part of the roof, in today's day and age, just to help you, there's no such thing as the roof is sloped. It has a slope to it. There'll be solar. The nice thing about having this type of roof and the height limits that we set up, we'll be able to hide solar panels, collect drain water, and do that, and even grow a little garden if we want.
Okay. how is it going to be lit up at night? The one
Go
that
to
you
the-
showed, it looked like it was
Yeah, from the
almost
bottom.
like a,
Well, let me show
not
you
a
from here.
Christmas tree, but
Well, it won't be a Christmas tree, but
you
at
can-
these columns,
LED lights?
there'll be actual bollard lights that light up walkways. At the bases of all the columns, there'll be up lights, and from probably up at the top, you see lighting will shoot down. So it'll have a nice.
Because you're going to have 2 apartment buildings built across the road.
Mhm.
Will all these lights
Well,
affect?
No, no. It'll be dimly lit. It'll be just. It's not going to be a billboard. Trust me.
Okay.
I shouldn't use the word try. It's not going to be a billboard.
How high is this going to be?
Right now, gentlemen, what are we at roughly? 35 feet? About
okay.
35 feet.
Looks taller for some
No.
reason, but that's okay.
Let's say 40. It's not.
40.
Gee, we
Give or
don't want to
take.
overpower the end of that street. We don't want. We want it to really be an element that becomes a beautiful, respected building, but we don't want to overpower it. We're not going to be.
Okay.
And if you notice, it's very important. Take a look. See the top floor?
Mhm.
It's set back, so you only
Yeah.
get the effect of a 2-story building with the top floor being set back.
Mhm.
Okay?
And the last thing, the windows.
Mm-hmm.
From the design, they look like pretty tall windows.
Yes.
What about birds? Are they going to be tinted in any way for when the birds might slap again?
Let me explain.
That's a big
because
problem now.
one of the things that we have found, birds fly into flat spaces with reflection
Mhm.
because of the overall
Right.
environment. When you have columns and you add things along the edges, they don't fly into it as much. I can't stop a bird from flying into it. But the fact that if you had big flat planes of glass, think about it, the bird sees a reflection. Bird sees a column. All right, so it should be okay. But that I can't guarantee. There could be
Because I know our library had to do that. Because
I get birds flying into my sliding glass
Yes,
doors
I
in my
do
house,
too.
but but you put a column in front of a sliding glass door, the bird relates to the column, so the bird's going to relate more towards the columns than they are. So it has to be a kind of awkward bird to hit this building.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, they're sealed windows. Right. Now, no, I shouldn't answer that question yet. Okay, I'm not. It's not honest. I'm not sure yet. There's 2 means of approach. The depending on the HVAC system, which really is an engineering question. We as architects design a building. The building will look aesthetically the same whether we have an opening tilting window or a pivot window or not. So the 2 schools of thought are totally environmentally enclose the building and we control it from our own panels, or people can open up and get fresh air. In that case, then you have a problem with if you're hot, she's cold, you open the window, the air conditioning is on. There's pros and cons. In the LEEDs active buildings that we've looked at, yes, there are operable windows because they close down the air conditioning at certain degree days. There are other people like myself. I like it cold. I want to walk into a room at 70 degrees. Steve, any questions? Okay. I got to say, after I saw it all today, and Joe and Mason are the 2 guys in our office that have been prominent in working on it with me. This is going to be an amazing building. It's going to make us all proud, and that's how I'm going to end. Thank you.
Thank
That wall,
Which wall?
the mural wall.
Yes.
You have enough people in town, someone who have a design contest.
And you know what? I'm going to take it. I want you to run it. We want a design contest. I really mean it. There's a little problem in it, but I think we can work it out, or the mayor will work it out, is the guy who owns the shopping center has to give us permission to paint the wall. But I think it would be... No, you could do whatever the budget. You could put a mosaic on it. You could put a sculpture on it. But I think the idea of pulling into this village hall with a history, you could do a history of Great Neck. You do a map of Great Neck. Okay.
Have you seen that mural down in town on the corner? What's the street?
Maple.
That has been there for
If you look closely at the plaque, my name is on it. I donated. No, no, I didn't design it. I donated. I was one of the donors for that.
That has stayed for
Right.
at least 20 years,
Right.
and it's never faded.
Well,
and so
that's painted with a great artist, and Sarah Hughes is one of the girls in it, the skater. And what they did is they put a finish on it that really I've never seen anything like it. But you know yeah. Gene Selander, I donated to that among 20 or 30 other people. It wasn't very expensive. We all put in $1,000 or something, but it looks the same today as it looked 20 years ago.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you have a question?
Sure.
so
Well, we were trying to keep it maintenance free. Yeah, we can. Again, there'll be a landscape. We're just in the preliminary. I mean, the mayor and the board wanted to present it to the public to show you what's happening, but.
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really surprised.
Well, I think they put their best foot forward. But we need a landscape architect. We need civil engineering. There will be a traffic study. There'll be all sorts of things that have to go on before that.
Deanne, it's Bart. Are you surprised in a good way or a bad way?
No, surprised in a good way.
Okay. Thank you.
what is the cost of this?
We don't know yet. No, we don't know yet. But it'll be within the budget of that. There'll be a budget. It'll be set up, and we'll meet that budget.
Am I right in saying up on what I call the third floor?
Right.
Is there seating up there?
Yes.
For lunch and things?
There'll be a lot room for the staff. There'll be a general meeting room for extracurricular public activities. It actually should be a nice idea that if there was a public function that the town had to throw or a meeting that overran the ability of the courtroom, people could sit up there.
Yes, you have a question?
Are all the tables up there and on the side going to be accessible if somebody in a wheelchair wants
Yes.
to sit at them?
Yes.
Okay. That's like my key thing. I won't even ask you about the bathroom.
No, but on bed, no. We have to follow all. Not only do we have accessible bathrooms, we'll have mother-baby type bathroom and transsexual.
Yeah, but there's a difference with accessible bathrooms that are ADA compliant,
Right.
period, versus the extra thought
We-
on.
We will show you the plan. We're pretty well covered. A lot of bathrooms. Right. Bart, you had a question?
I just wanted to know if anybody else had anything positive to say about. Only we often hear negative things when we present new ideas, and we at the board have worked hard with Mark Stumer, and I just wanted to know if anybody had.
I think we're just too tired to be negative anymore here.
Well, that's actually a
Finally
positive.
got tired of
I
being
think
negative.
this is a really positive move. Yes, sir.
Is that the best you could do, Gene? You don't like it?
All the village departments
Right.
will be on the same floor.
No,
What?
no.
But on the other hand, so they'll be spread between floor
There's
one.
the building department, there's other departments. No, that's the idea but there's an elevator. Oops, sorry, I'll keep you. There's an elevator and a major staircase and a secondary staircase. So there'll be plenty of access. And at each floor there'll be directories. It's going to be a more efficient and a bigger building.
So it's a very attractive structure.
Thank you.
And let's see what happens as you keep on.
It's only going to get better. I truly say that on the record. It's only going to get better.
The building's going to be able to be kept clean, the exterior, not just things that they put around for like.
Yes, I assume Steve is going to make the real big effort to make sure this building is clean.
This building was I don't know, but the building was designed to be here for many generations to come, and for future people, future residents to enjoy and get the best use out of it. It's going to be a functional building. It's going to be handicap accessible, things that we don't have in this current building. And I believe this building, which opened 70-something years ago, was supposed to be a temporary structure. So hopefully we finally have a home after all those years. And I think the village deserves that.
I do
Thank
too.
you.
I want to again thank you for giving us the opportunity of working with you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
And I think this is really remarkable. I think it would be interesting to celebrate the 100-year-old birthday of Village of Great Neck with the concept of a new village. And I think we're all looking forward to this new village hall. I'm sure Mark is working very hard to come up with all the necessary plans for the gas, water, and electricity, and I'm hoping that we can do that as soon as possible before the roads get paved. The road pavements, from what Nassau County is telling me, is going to be sometimes in October, November. Um, well, no, well, they're not doing the roads yet. They're just doing the right, right. They're not doing the roads yet until I think after the holidays. Right. So one thing I want to mention, we did have a discussion with the with Nassau County Department of Public Works regarding the median. Our median is in desperate need for renovation, and I think when we discussed it with them, they said that this median that we have now is actually not according to the current codes because it's too high and it can actually be very dangerous for the cars. So what they're suggesting. Right. So what they're suggesting is to actually be able to lower it a little bit and have curb cuts. In order to do that, the trees that are there need to be removed, and we need to put new planting and new trees, which is going to hopefully happen simultaneously as they're doing the road. So I just want people to be aware that sometimes in the next couple of weeks, these trees and the shrubberies that are there that are actually becoming obstructive, and I know that people have been complaining about lack of visibility while they're driving, they're going to be removed, and there will be new trees planted that are actually going to be for this size of the median. Our median is about, sorry? Right, no, right. So obviously, we cannot do any planting now, but I just want to let everybody know that the trees that are currently there are causing road damage as well as the median damage. So these trees will be removed and replaced when the spring comes along.
Could you maybe donate have the Park District take the knockout roses and that, and so they could use them in places in some.
I can definitely discuss it with them if they want it, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
the roses, if they want to take the rose bushes.
The
I mean, listen,
knockout
they're,
roses and the
huh?
because they do like to.
No, they can. Yeah, they can replant.
Yes.
I mean, they can.
Absolutely, they can.
Yeah, they can. I mean, they're listen. I obviously when this comes, we discuss it with them. They have to come pick it up and take it where they want. But
The Park District workers could.
I don't. I think that's a brilliant idea. The unfortunate thing is, I wish we could do that with the trees as well. But these trees are too big, too difficult to move. If they want to do it maybe with the smaller trees, maybe. But I think what we need to do, the vision is to have a more uniform look for the medians, not having big shrubs, small shrub, big trees, small trees, and everything haphazard. And obviously, this has happened over the past 20-something years, maybe even 40 years. How long is it that we have? 30 years? Since 1987? So it's been there for a very, very long time, and I think it is definitely outdated. We have spent a lot of money trying to upkeep the median, and I think the new median, the way we have visioned it, that the county is going to come and try to put the medians and fix it, it's going to be according to the current codes. It's going to be safer, and hopefully that we'll hear from them soon. Okay.
I just got a question about medium.
Yeah.
Because I was here when they first put them in. You know, we donated money for those mediums. And a lot of them were memorials to people. And then everything just disappeared.
You donated money for the trees or the median?
For the medium.
For
When they put up the loft and so forth. I mean, two of our neighbor boys went down in ships. And I know we had put some money in for that. We said, this is their memorial. We never found them. One went to the academy and two brothers. And I mean, there were a lot of people. These were like almost like memorials to some people. But the little name tags just disappeared.
Right. I mean, you also have to realize, I mean, I don't know what the lifeline for these memorials that are put on medians are. I understand what you're saying. It's just, you know, with the railroad tiles changed multiple times, and the cars hitting them, and the trucks going over them, and all these things, and the weather causing them to get chipped. I don't know if those memorials, I don't know if they were plaques that were put on the. Right.
Still facts with the names on it. I don't know what happened. Probably, they're probably, I mean.
Right. I mean, we still can do them. I just don't know if we can. I mean, listen, if we're going to have trees that are planted, we can do it with the trees that are planted. I mean, there's going to be obviously part of the vision is to be able to have outlets that are going to allow lighting for the holidays, for Christmas and Hanukkah time, that we can have actually lights put on the trees and the bushes, that it's going to actually beautify our corridor. I think right now that that ability is lacking because there's really that whole section, everything is rotten. So I'm hoping that while we're changing the resurfacing our Middle Neck Road, Village is going to be able to, with the help of what is this company, the Persilico, going to be able, and obviously the county and the village are we're paying for it, but the county is doing part of the job, is to be able to bring the median to more current. Okay. All right. Moving on. Thank you, everybody, for now. Okay.
Next item on the agenda is a request for Superintendent Massaro to attend the NICOM Public Work Training School from October 18th through 20th at the Saratoga Spring Holiday Inn. The hotel will cost $855. The program itself is at $295. There's a request for a cost not exceeding $1,200 to be approved, please.
I'll move it.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's passed unanimous. Thank you. The next item is a request by the court, by Judge Kirsch, to allow for applying for the JCAP grant from the United Court System for up to $15,000. You could see the items that they are requesting on the screen. Sorry for that. It's moving too fast. There you go.
This doesn't add up to $15,000. Do they want anything else?
Up to $15,000.
Maybe they can ask for other things.
Well, the five rule.
You can only ask for things that you're actually going to use in the court.
Right. They don't use anything else in the court.
First of all, you're not going to invest in real infrastructure since we're
No, true.
the court.
So each one of those bar cabinets could be like $1,500. Those are very expensive. The shredder could be very expensive. A folding a machine that folds letters
Oh,
and
you're getting that
stuff
also.
envelopes.
Okay.
That's going to be a very expensive machine. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the grant? Actually, not the
The
grant, the
application.
application for the grant.
Yes, I'll move it.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimous. The next item is regarding asserting architectural jurisdiction over property at 265 Easter Road.
Mayor and members of the board, there are actually a number of
What?
different.
Wait, you can't hear who? You can't hear Peter? Peter? Abraham?
Yeah. From now on, Mr.
I'll have it from here.
Mr.
Okay.
Bragg.
I believe you can hear me at this microphone. All right. And Mayor and the members of the board, there are a number of items on the agenda tonight that are related to each other. I'd like to actually address agenda items F, G, J, K, L, and M, as they are all somewhat interrelated. The agenda item makes reference to 265 ESR, and that actually is a reference to what we refer to as the Villadome Apartment Project at 265 East Shore Road. You will recall that that address is the location of the former sewer pumping station. The village owns that parcel and has entered into a contract to sell it for $9 million to a developer known as Villadome on the Bay, LLC. That contract of sale was previously approved by this board at its meeting of August 18, 2020. The contract is subject to a variety of contingencies, amongst them that the village enact certain legislation that would enable the proposed uses to take place. One proposed local law, L on the agenda, proposes to change the zoning of the parcel. If passed, the local law would change the Residence B portion of the property, as well as some of the westerly portion of the property, to Residence G for George, G. George zoning, and thereby permit zoning incentives to be granted. Another local law, agenda item J, corrects a technical error in the existing mixed-use zone legislation. Specifically, the mixed-use zone previously, years ago, had a specific list of permitted uses. During the research on the Villadome project, it was discovered that somehow that list was inadvertently dropped from our code, even though the list of uses was still being used by the building department. This proposed local law restores that list and includes the permitted use of grocery, and that is one of the prospective proposed uses of a portion of the property. Another local law, agenda item K, clarifies the permitted uses when a building crosses zoning lines, as is anticipated here. While it has been the building department's interpretation, the proposed local law makes it explicit that the building can enjoy the uses permitted in both zones so long as the use is present in that portion of the building in which the use is located. Another local law, agenda item M, introduces an expiration date for any incentives granted by this board in an incentive district. Currently, the village is at risk that a developer could obtain incentives but not use them until a time convenient to the developer. This is unlike the expiration dates that already attach to variances. This proposed local law would make incentives expire on the later of A, a failure to provide a proposed amenity within 6 months, or B, to apply for a building permit within 2 years, or C, such other date as the Board of Trustees directs in its approval resolution. The details of each of these local laws will be fleshed out at their respective hearing dates. In each case, all that is happening tonight is the scheduling of a hearing on the proposed local laws. No vote or other action on the merits is taking place. Candidly, I don't expect any decision on any of the merits in the immediate future because each of these pieces of proposed resolution of the local laws, indeed pretty much everything to do with the proposed Villadome project, must still be sent to the Nassau County Planning Commission for their comments before the village can take any action. Agenda items F and G are also related to this same project. They are resolutions under which this board takes architectural and site plan jurisdiction over the Villadome project, but no approvals of any kind are being given in the resolutions. They merely enable this board to make decisions on these matters at some later date. With that in mind, I would ask if the board has any discussion on any of these individually, and if not, move them. And again, all that would be happening is the resolutions would enable you to take jurisdiction over architectural and site plan decisions, and the local laws, all that you would be doing is setting them down for a hearing date, at which hearing the details of those local laws would be discussed and made available to the public, and there can be debate and discussion on them. And again, however, even after that hearing takes place, unless we have comments back from the Nassau County Planning Commission by that date, there still can be no vote on the local laws.
A couple of questions. One, as far as you mentioned about the incentives, one thing was that they should apply for the incentives.
Yes, sir. In
make
other
an
words,
application within 6 months.
Looking for some expiration date on the incentives, they have to. They would have to provide the proposed amenity within 6 months.
Okay.
In other words, if in the context of incentive zoning, it is generally happens that the developer proposes an amenity to the village, and the village offers zoning incentives to the developer. But it sometimes happens that the developer can be late in providing the amenity. So the incentive would expire if the amenity isn't provided within 6 months, or if the developer fails to apply for a building permit within 2 years.
Okay.
Both of those dates would be default dates. The Board of Trustees could set a different date on any specific project.
The other question, these amendments will be sent at which point to Nassau County?
Following this evening's introduction of them, in the next week or two, we'll be putting together a package to send over to the County Planning Commission for its comments. But I'm still working with the developer's attorney to develop that package of material to send over.
Okay. Would you expect to have a response within the next 30 days? I remember that we used to say 30 days.
The Planning Commission has a presumption that it will respond within 30 days, but it has been known to take the position that the application is in some respect incomplete and ask for some additional document or some additional piece of information, and the 30 days the clock doesn't start to run until after the Planning Commission concludes that it has received the full packet.
Right, and they can actually make this a local determination.
Yes.
That's what they may do if they don't respond and they're not asking for any additional information that we are expecting. If they're not if they're not asking for any new information, that we are expected that this package will be to the local determination.
That is our hope, yes, sir.
Okay.
If that is the case, if there's no further comment at this time, is there a trustee that wishes to move with respect to item F that the board take architectural jurisdiction over this project? Moved by trustee Hope, seconded by trustee Kashi. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. And is there a similar motion with respect to asserting site plan jurisdiction, which is agenda item G? Also moved by trustee Hope, seconded by trustee Kashi. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. And with respect to J, K, L, and M, may I anticipate that the board would want to schedule public hearings beginning with the next Board of Trustee meeting, which I believe is October 5.
Don't we have to have a response from Nassau County before we do that?
You're not required to have the response in order to open the public hearing. You need to have that response before you can vote on the legislation.
Okay.
So if the board wishes, it could, for example, schedule the hearing in the November meeting, by which time we would anticipate we'd have County Planning Commission response. But you can't vote on the local laws until after you get that response.
So what is the third week in October? Maybe we should do it in the third week because that gives us 30 days.
That would be fine. November 2nd, or?
So let's do the 19th of October.
19th of October.
Right. And by then, it's 30 days. And if they, I mean, I don't know if you're going to, you're not
Mayor,
going to be able to have
if
the
you're
package
looking to have the hearing after the Planning Commission response,
Right.
my suggestion would be that it be pushed back to the November
Right,
hearing.
because you still have to send it in a week or so.
Yes, sir.
Right, so November 6th then. November 2nd is good?
Yes, sir, although I think that is bordering near Election Day, not that that necessarily means any. It is, say, Election Day. There are other things taking place, but that doesn't mean the village business has to stop. I'm just pointing that out to you.
Will you be able to be here, Peter?
I would anticipate, certainly my office will be here. I would be optimistic that I would be here. But from time to time, in close contests, I have been called to emergencies elsewhere.
Well, we can also just have that date as an anticipation. We can open and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right,
November 2nd, sir.
November 2nd.
And is there therefore a motion to have all 4 public hearings on November 2nd? Moved and seconded by trustee Kashi. And all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously. There is also another item. Steve, are you doing porticos or bay windows? I forget how we. You'll do portico? All right. Then item N for Nancy is not related directly to the East Shore Road project, the Villadome project, but it is a proposed local law to make a change in the zoning code with respect to bay windows. Currently, bay windows are a permitted encroachment up to 3 feet past the facade of the house. but the code limits that permitted encroachment to bay windows that are not more than 6 feet wide. What this legislation would do is in each one of the residential zones, change the permitted width of the bay window to 8 feet wide.
This is all the zones.
All the residential zones.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's
And
where they
is
usually put the right. Okay. They usually don't have bay windows. Right.
With that said, is there a motion to set this down for a public hearing, not a motion to pass the legislation, but merely to set it down for a public hearing? And if so, do you have a proposed date? This one could be done separate from.
2 weeks from now?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Moved by Trustee Kashi to set the hearing down for the October 5th.
Oh, yeah, that's the next one. Right.
And seconded by Trustee Hope. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimously passed. And I think Steve is going to address agenda item H, which is the scheduling of a hearing for amending the code with respect to the measurement of a height of a portico, or the height of a building with some certain special exceptions for portico.
So the proposed local law changed the way in which height is measured when measuring for the permitted height of the building.
Sorry, can you just give him the?
The proposed local law changes the way in which the height is measured when measuring for a permitted height of a building and/or its portico. Currently, height is measured from the average height along the building line foundation line. The change would be measured building height from the average curb elevations or the average elevation of the ground at the property's four corners, whichever is higher, and go up to the highest point of the building. An exception is made for porticos or similar structures when height will be measured from the average ground level along the base of a portico. It is believed the new way of measuring will be more accurate and fair to the residents.
And again, that is simply setting the proposed local law down for a public hearing. We're not voting on the local law, just to set the hearing date. Is there a motion to set that hearing date for October 5?
Yes.
Moved by Trustee Kashi, seconded by Trustee Hope. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. And then lastly, there is a proposed local law with respect to compressors, which I will defer to Mr. Cohen. That's it.
So we can have a discussion today after the meeting? Yeah.
Sure.
There's a request by the chairman of the Architectural Review Board that a change should be made in the code to change the airborne noise that comes out of compressors from 60 decibel to 70 decibels. And the reason for it is currently what's in the market is very hard to get something that is compliance with the law, with the code that we have currently. He has requested that maybe the local law can be passed to change the code to change such a noise level from 60 to 70. Again, this is not, we're not passing the law, this is just to schedule a hearing over it.
I have, as I mentioned this before, I have a difficult time with this because we just had Dr. Abraham, who came in the beginning, and he said that the noise level was about 60, and with the new vent that they put in, it went down from 60 to 30. Now we are going to say that in a residential area, we're going to go from 60 to 70. I use the app that I have on my phone, and I'm sure it's not as accurate as a real decibel reader. My compressors outside, as I discussed with you, they measure about 35 to 40 when they're on. And that's even with the crickets that are very loud, that they're measuring about 40. I don't know where this 60 to 70, unless I'm missing something. Is it really 70?
It's
That's
on
very
the
loud.
on the specs
spec
for the
sheets, right.
on the spec sheets for
That's
the.
a peak. That's also a peak number. So when the thing.
Right, but the thing is, when they go on, they don't. They're very they're very quiet.
Very quiet. But the specs on the machine, when you purchase an air conditioning unit, we ask for the specs. When they show you the specs, all the specs are showing 70 decibels. It's very rare, it's very hard to find. There's one manufacturer who makes a 60 decibel, which is Mitsubishi, for a split line. All the other
So let me ask you.
central air conditioning, they do not meet the 60
Right. So my
decibel.
question is, my concern is obviously 70 is to me, from what I know. Again, I'm not an audiologist. 70 decibel is very loud, very loud. And if you put a 70 decibel on a continuous sound emission, it can actually be extremely disturbing to the neighbor. So I don't understand how. And again, maybe they're putting that on because they say that's the maximum it can get. Maybe when it gets older in 10, 15, 20 years. I don't believe that we should accept anything to be more than what is acceptable in the beginning. And I think we should actually go not what they expect the specs say, but actually see what they really measure. I'm afraid that this is going to open a whole new can of worms that say, you know what, because the spec says 70, it's 70. Your code says 70. Now everyone's going to have these ACs that are running at 70. I'm personally very much against it.
Mayor, maybe you want to have the chairman of the board come and explain his request.
Sure.
He's also an electrician, so he has been in this business for many years.
I understand, but I'm just maybe I'm not maybe it's not clear, but I'm afraid to change the code from 60 to 70. I would rather change the code from 60 to 40, not go upwards. But it just doesn't make sense. And again, you do this.
Right. So the specs on a compressor that exceeds 60. So everything says.
Right, but what you're saying exceeds accept. It's like me saying, you know what? Because if I can increase the volume of my speaker to about 100 decibel, now all of a sudden it's acceptable to have the sound at 100 decibel. I don't think it should be that way. There should be.
But right now, anybody who comes before air conditioning unit
I
approved.
agree, but that's a whole different issue. You can say, I think we can change the code and say any air condition is acceptable as long as the noise that it emits is not more than don't go based on what it says on the spec. The spec says whatever it says, but what is the noise that it actually emits?
We have to have standardization, though.
Right.
I mean, if you can't respect what's on the spec, then
You can
like
say
if you have
the
a
specs.
generator.
So you can say this specs should say this, but I don't think you should change the acceptable noise emission to 70.
Right. When you have a generator, the requirement is that there's screening around it, right? So.
Right. So there's a huge difference in a generator and a
Right.
AC.
I
AC is on all the time.
Right.
The generator goes on once in a blue moon, if it does go on.
yeah.
And you know what? Thank God, with now the new PSEG raising all the wires, we haven't had a major power outage. So, that is going to be for a day or two or three. Just in case of an emergency, I think everyone should accept it. But the ACs are, and I tell you, my neighbor, he has an old AC. It was running at about 60, and it was so loud. 60 is really loud. I'm telling you, I took my phone next to it, not at the property line, next to, right, about 2 feet away from the AC unit, the compressor, and it was measuring 35. So I don't know what the explanation is and how we can change it, but I just don't think that we should change the code to 70.
So I think what Abraham said is correct. We should have the chairman of the ARC come in and explain what he's looking for, because he deals with this.
Change the code that we can say that these companies are accepted instead of saying.
Okay.
Well, it changes so rapidly that maybe this year one company is good and next year the manufacturer is no longer in
I don't
business.
know. Let's discuss it. I just don't think that we should change the code to even higher decibel.
That's fine.
Would you like to have to schedule the hearing for next meeting at October 5th?
I don't want to have a hearing on this until we actually discuss it.
Okay.
I
Vote
mean,
by them for
that's my vote. I don't want to have a hearing.
If not, Mayor, I believe the next item to address on the agenda would be O, which is various banner requests.
We are getting various requests from various various organizations or other districts that they would like to put up banners. For example, we have had from Gold Coast Film Festival that they submitted. Also, we have Park District that constantly send us requests, and then we have the PAL. There should be some sort of order of how often these banners can change and if we should charge actually for it. I just made a very quick calculation of it. If we say that on average every DPW is at $53 and it takes about between 4 to 5 people to direct the traffic, bring the equipments there, they put it up, that's about $240 per hour, and on average it will take between, let's say, 2 to 3 hours to put up a banner. They go there, they take it, they bring the equipments to the site. It costs every time, just for the payroll, it would be like a $600 to put it up. Now taking it down is another $600. And this does not include even the depreciation, gas, insurance. It does not, God forbid if one of them falls off when they're putting it up, or if there's a mishap that hits our trucks. And other districts they feel so comfortable to come in constantly and asking for the banner to be put up or they take it out. Now in front of us we have 3 banners. It's up to the board to which one you want to put up. We have the Gold Coast that they are running a couple weeks from now, and they're requesting that it should go up by next week, September 20th. It runs from October 10th through 17th, but they have requested that the banner should go up September 20th.
Are they putting it anywhere else or just our village?
They tried 2 other places.
And they got permission to put it up in the plaza and in Manhasset.
Do they charge?
I don't know if they charge them, but they have to put it up themselves.
Can I just make it?
They have to put it up themselves.
In the other places, yeah.
Yeah. So
To charge somebody to put up a community benefit banner to me is just mind-boggling to me. I don't know. This is something that's benefiting your community, the people of the taxpayer. That's just my opinion. I don't know. PAL, I don't think they're making that much money on their program.
isn't that part of the park?
The film festival
Nothing to do
is.
with the park.
They use their facilities.
Right.
Fire department might wanna put that up. It's not their job.
So you're saying that other villages actually ask?
They're saying you want to put it up, you have the permission to put it up, go ahead, get equipment, put it up on your own time rather than using the village's staff.
And Gold Coast is actually putting up one on Plaza, and they're doing it themselves?
They tried to put it up with the person that Brian spoke to the lady.
Yeah, she called today and said, was asking, she didn't know our DPW does it, so she was like, oh, could your people put it up in the plaza and Manhasset for us? I said, unfortunately, we can't, expend our resources and
Right.
other
So
locations.
I mean, I don't know if this.
I'm
is
not saying
something-
that we should charge them, but there should be some sort of, maybe we can put it up and bring it down once a month rather than constantly one week put this banner up, the next month put the other banner up.
What should you take one up, take one down?
Well, generally when we put them up, for instance, I don't know which one is up there now. I think it's a Parks one up there
Pal.
now. What is it?
Pal.
Pal's up, so the Parks asked to put theirs up. Normally we go, we take that one down, we put the other one up.
But
and
Park has the ability to do it themselves, no? They have all the.
They have a bucket
everything.
truck now.
Yeah, so
but
why is it that they don't do it themselves?
It's over our street.
It's not our street. It's the county street.
So now you're gonna start arguing with the Parks Department on who's gonna put
I'm
the
not
banner
arguing.
up
I'm
on
just saying it's
your banner cables? You see what the problem is gonna be now? Now the
banner
now the
cable.
Park's gonna say, well, we're gonna put the banner up over there, that's our, it's not yours, it's not your responsibility. We'll
No, I
put
mean,
it
they
up,
still have to
and,
get
you know,
is.
we don't care what banners we put
No,
up, we're
so
gonna
that
put
I
'em
don't
up.
think that's true because I think based on what we discussed, anything that happens in our village, park and school, they have to abide by the village codes. That said, they can ask the permission, they can put it up, but we can give them a permission for X amount of days. So they have to put it up and they have to get a permission to put it up, they have to get a permission to take it down. And, Peter, correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct, sir.
Okay, thank you. And so I don't think it is going to be that we're going to be at their mercy of when they put it up, how they put it up. They have to get a permission to put it up. We give them a permit. I don't think we have to charge them for the permit. I don't think you're right. I think it's because it is a community benefit. But if they have the ability to put it up, why should we put it up? They can get a permit. We say, go ahead, you can have it from this day to this day, and that's it. I don't think that's an issue. I don't think they're going to have an issue with it.
In the past, we've always taken insurance from any of these places, so the banners are insured.
Right, but I think, Abraham has a point. I mean, if God forbid anything happens to your guys, why they're doing this, are they going to, provide us with a man for the time that they're not? So why should we necessarily take a responsibility? I don't have a problem. I don't think the board has a problem by permitting them to put it up. If Gold Coast wants, I mean, obviously not every banner can go up if they can put it up. They still have to get a permit. If someone wants to come and put something that is offensive, obviously the board will not allow them. But Gold Coast wants to put it up, they can put it up. I don't know what, Park wants to put it up, they have the ability to put it up.
But let me
How?
ask you this now, so, let's just say for argument's sake now, the PAL banner is up. So now, are you gonna direct PAL to come and take their banner down so the parks could put their banner up?
Well,
Typically, all of these banners, for the most part, are stored in the DPW.
right. So the thing is, PAL does not have the ability to put it up, and I think it has to be that if they are given a time that it should be that you can have it up from this day to this day. I don't think we can have 5 banners at the same time, do we?
No, we only have really one place that we put them.
1 or 2? I thought it's 2.
Sometimes we put them on Fairview Avenue, but that cables are a little on the crooked side, so it's a little bit weird to put them up on.
Because I remember that we used to see them on the south side and the north side. One by around Piccadilly area.
Fairview and one by Woolies.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
We have it at Fairview and Middle Neck
And Woolies. Right. So, I mean, I don't know if Gold Coast wants to have 2 or they want to have 1, but I really think that it should be, and I don't know how much it's going to cost. I mean, if it's costing us, $1,200 every time, I don't think.
I don't think it costs that much, but I didn't do the
Right.
analysis either.
Right. So I also you have to realize if it's our taxpayers' money we're paying, it's not my money. So we have to be responsible and
I'm
say.
just looking at it saying that it is really a community benefit that you're putting the banner up to begin with.
Okay. I mean.
Listen, I don't live it, it's not my money either way, so.
Right, I know. So that's something that we probably have to discuss and see how we can get it done. And I don't know, Peter, if you have any suggestion of how it's done in other.
You could charge. You charge $200 to put it up. I mean,
He's saying it's cost $1,200 to put it up.
I think that's a bit much. You only have 6 guys for 3 hours. That time. Plus you're putting 2 at a time up.
Right. So I mean, listen, there could be a possible charge for it. We have to. Listen. Our responsibility is to the people of the Village of Great Neck. I don't think we can say everybody can come in and just get it done for free. And again, I love the park and I work with the park and I think they have the manpower to do it, so we can just get a permit and they can do it on their own. As far as the other ones, we have to find out how we can get it done. We can have the discussion.
The Fox has their own bucket truck now.
Right.
Before we put it up.
The other thing is, why is it that other villages don't do it themselves?
Plaza does. Plaza has one.
But No, but
They have to get someone to put it up for them. Plaza does not do it.
What about the Great Neck Estates? Because Gold Coast is in the Estates.
I don't know, I look at this as public service.
Yeah.
People look for these, you know.
It's in the plaza.
It's considered the plaza, even though Gold Coast is.
Estate ends by the storefront.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Plaza
about the
starts,
church
the
with the
sidewalks,
Strawberry
even on
Festival?
the
They don't have a bucket
west
truck.
West
side
side?
is still part of Plaza.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
That's
So I
why there
thought
was a question
Maple.
when COVID started, they wanted to put the chairs outside.
Yeah.
They didn't know who should they apply the permit.
On the corner,
Because the stores in-
on the corner of Cedar and Middle Neck Road is a big sign that says "Welcome to Great Neck Plaza," and it's firmly Great Neck Estates. And it's Great Neck Estates for 2 more blocks, but it says "Welcome to Great Neck Plaza."
all right, I think this is something we can discuss in a further time, but, I know that they want it up, and I don't think I'm gonna deviate from the practice that we had so far.
So
But I think
whose
this is a
banner do you
discuss-
want to put up? Because we have a request from PAL, we have a request from Gold Coast. Okay, so
Can
we
you
have a
take it down,
request,
Steve?
we have a request from Gold Coast, and we have a request from Park District.
So
And
can we
I'm
put,
guessing we're gonna have another one soon from Destination Great Neck, because they're having their Gatsby thing. So,
is it possible to put one of them on the south side, one of them on the north side? Can we put one on the south side, one on the
That's a
north
question
side?
too.
Maybe we can
Any
put
small
the Gold
locations,
Coast
though.
on the south side, and the park, we can ask them if they wanna put it on the north side. Can we do that?
You mean facing back to back?
No, I'm just saying, we
One by
have,
Fairview.
One by
Fairview, we should put the park by Fairview, and we should,
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast by Plaza.
The one
Not
by-
Plaza, I mean, Woolies.
The one by Fairview, when you hang it, it hangs kinda like that. It doesn't hang like this, to the street. The cables are a little bit on an angle.
Can you still read it or no?
I have to go by and look and see
It's
how.
not.
I mean, yeah,
You can read.
Yeah, you can read it, yeah.
Alright, so, I mean, you know what, listen, you can ask the park if they're willing to do it, we can give them a permit to do it. If they have, they can get it done. I mean, or we can just come up with a suggestion that starting next month, or next year, this is the way the program is. People have to pay a certain fee.
It probably is a good idea to make a form so that people will come
Right.
in, make a formal request on
Right,
paper.
so I'm saying, from next
with
year,
their-
we can
with
just
their-
say,
with
this
their
is the request.
liability insurance, and this way, whenever you wanna go to it, you're not trying to say, when did we do that meeting? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
right, so you
just
can
go to the
do,
park.
right, so you
I
can
know
do,
who requested it, and then you take them as they come. First come, first serve.
so the PAL is over, I
By the
don't
way,
think-
I just wanna add one thing, and you're gonna laugh, but go back to the banner. I think they should take the phone number off and leave it as the website. 'Cause you don't want people driving on the road,
what are they doing anyway, this?
noting a phone number. What? It's the same thing as the awareness.
What is it? Oh, it's an international film festival. Basically,
Where are they having it?
On the website.
it's from October 10 through 17, and I believe it's in Manhasset. I believe, if I'm not.
But people could find this without those address, without the website or the phone number.
It's not on Middle Neck Road? No?
No, it's in Manhasset, I
It
believe.
used to be in all the local movie theaters, but now we don't have a movie theater.
Excellent.
Rub it in.
Okay.
Would you like to approve this one, or do you want to?
We can have this one on the south side, and if the park is okay to have it on the north side,
That's not
you
the
can ask the
decision.
park if they wanna do it themselves, it's not redoing it, but starting January, if anyone wants anything, I think they should go through a process. Park wants to do their own, it's free of charge, if they want us to do it, we charge them a nominal fee. Okay, if that's okay with everybody? Everyone's okay? Okay.
Also,
So we're
you're
gonna-
approving the Gold Coast
Yes.
Yes,
starting next Monday
fine.
for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. Is there a motion to that effect? Motion by Trustee Hope. Second. Seconded by Deputy Mayor. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. That's unanimous. The next item are the minutes of August 17 meeting.
I read them.
There's a motion by Deputy Mayor.
Motion by the deputy mayor to approve the minutes of August 17th, seconded by trustee Hope. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Unanimously approved. And
The
that
last
takes
item
us
is
to
the abstract.
I looked over the abstract, I have no questions. I make a motion to approve the abstract.
Moved by trustee Mendelson, seconded by trustee Cashy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. The ayes have it unanimously. And Mayor, I believe that concludes the agenda items.
Excellent. Not so bad. It's only 10 o'clock. Yep, public comments.
David Slenziger, 15 Beach Road. You had quite a discussion about the former sewer plant property. Do you care to tell the public what kinds of things the developer has proposed? In the past, he had mentioned assisted living, apartments, and retail. What is the current plan?
No, I think in the past, independent, he discussed it and they gave a whole presentation.
That was about a long time ago.
Yeah, it's the
So what
same
is it now?
It's the same thing. Nothing has changed.
And how many units of housing are proposed
I
there?
don't recall what it was.
It was in the 90. I don't recall the specific number. 90-something, I don't recall.
I don't recall.
But it has not changed.
Right.
So that's going to be an apartment house or independent living or what?
Independent living.
Okay, and then there will be a commercial apartment house or another kind
I
of
think
apartment?
the contract describes it, and again, David, I'm doing this from memory.
Yeah.
I don't have the document in front of me. I believe the contract described it as senior housing,
Okay,
so that it wouldn't fall within the terminology of the health department as either being assisted living or independent living. It just was senior housing. And there's also a component for grocery, a commercial retail grocery area on one section of the building, which is why, for example, there needed to be that split use zoning so that there could be the commercial use in the commercial section and the residential in the residential section of what is described as a single building.
so it would be just one building in the current site that would have these, it would have the, let's call it the senior apartments and a grocery, right?
Yes, although
Two
again,
different buildings.
visually they'll have the architectural renderings make it look as if there's two separate structures, but
Okay.
they are connected, and therefore it is being handled as a single structure,
Okay,
even though they will have a visual appearance of two buildings.
so when you hear the term grocery, you also think about a supermarket.
That's what I believe is intended.
So is it going, again, I mean,
No,
bigger
again,
than a bread box?
no,
or
but
Is going to be a full-size supermarket?
there
or-
is a description of the square footage. It's in the contract, and I think it's intended for supermarket use. But to take you back for a moment, the supermarket use was in the section that will be mixed use. And when we researched the mixed use to see what were permitted uses, we discovered that somehow the list had just disappeared from the code. So we put the list back in and assured ourselves that amongst the permitted uses in the mixed use zone was grocery, which I felt was sufficiently broad or sufficiently ambiguous to allow for supermarket use.
Okay, is there a point at which the public will see the plans that he has? Will it be at this?
Right, so these plans were presented in detail actually about a year or so ago.
Approximately.
And they had the entire rendering, they had the flow, and everything was discussed. Now again, it will be again presented as we go forward, but this was presented I think twice maybe,
A couple of times.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times, and now it is going to be presented again. But what we need to do is to do the housekeeping.
No, I
and this is
understand
what
that you
we're
have to
doing
make the code amendments in order to
Right.
allow the plan to proceed. I mean, I do recall that he gave some kind of a discussion, and then we were all on Zoom for so long.
now. No, this was way before Zoom.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing some, but he didn't have anything.
He had a presentation.
Well, I don't think there was anything shown. It was a concept that he talked about, but never mind. As long as now if we're moving, there's got to be something more than just.
Well, when things move forward, as you know, we showed you again the village hall.
Right.
We're in the initial. This is going to be the concept. Again,
No, sure,
this is
that's
not a
fine.
final.
That's
this is not
fine.
a final design, but I think it's important for people to see actually what's going on and give input because, again, this is our village hall and it's a public place, and I think everyone needs to know. As far as this one goes, this is privately owned, and he will come in and give more presentation as we progress in.
That's fine. That's all I want to know because the public is interested, and many people, especially people who are kind of on the hill, above that, were rather interested. And the notice, I mean, I don't know when that was posted. It wasn't up yesterday. I understand it only went up today, and we didn't really know about it. But all right, now you mentioned that the repaving will be, you believe, in November or so.
No, I said that it should be completed by November.
Okay, do we have any idea when has the work been done to connect the various lines to the proposed site of Village Hall? Remember there needed to be
Right, so
water and gas and electric lines.
So that's what I spoke to Mark,
Right.
and that's what they're proposing. They have to get an engineer to propose the amount, and that will be sent to the Water and Gas Authority.
And that all has to be done before they repave Middle Neck Road, right?
That's the plan, yes.
All right, well, let's hope that gets done soon. And then I had a couple of questions just dealing with the building department. Is there any idea when the for rent sign will finally go out of 31 Beach Road? You know what I'm talking about. You did get the for rent sign off the tree, but then they stuck it in the living room. Well, you think we can get rid of it now?
What was it? They can't have a rent sign?
It's in they just moved it. You got it off the tree, but he stuck.
It was on the tree by the front curb, and I told me I had to take it down, so it's just they put a little.
They put it in the
Where is this?
living room picture window, and it's been there for months.
When you turn in Beach Road.
At Maple Street.
It's the co-op, and then further down, 4 houses down, it's 35 Beach.
Okay.
I'm not talking about 35 Beach. I'm talking about 31 Beach. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. 30.
I'm sorry.
It's the house that's been for rent for more than a year. And never mind. The signs, well, you know all about it because we've been complaining about it.
It actually came before the
Another
ARC.
question is the for sale sign,
before the
12 Ravine Road, that went up when that project was finished. It's sort of like a permanent for sale sign there that you have been advised. Is there any idea why that sign is still there? Good. Another question is dealing with 6 Steamboat Road. Various people have said, and from their observation, that this single-family house is apparently being used as a synagogue and as some kind of a religious school. And my question is, if 6 Steamboat Road, the greenhouse, the first, let's say, house west of Middle Neck Road on the south side, and apparently that is a sort of used by the Magen Israel group for a synagogue and schools and so on. But what I wonder is that building, safe? Does it have a use permit for that? What about fire and bathrooms and all the things that might make that building safe? Because that's just my concern about that.
All right.
That we have that, and people have complained for more than a year that I've heard, and I've also my own observation about that.
You see people going in and out?
Yeah, this is the group that's trying to build a synagogue at 778 Middle Neck, which clearly has no money, or because there's been no work on that property for a very long
Make that
time.
assumption. I think they're working to make assumption. I think is
Oh, they
incorrect.
are? Okay.
Well, they're dealing with the state and the village. So I mean, to make the assumption is not correct. But okay. So
Well, I do hope that they finally finish their building, but nothing.
Right.
And then and finally, there is the burned out former residence. I think it's 117 or 127 Steamboat, across from the Kol HaEmet Synagogue and Study Hall, that this board, you approved that place where there was a fire be renovated for apartments and all that. Same thing. It's at least 2 years. But the burned out hunk is still there.
Right.
Can anything be done about that? All right? Because, I mean, I hope that they rebuild it, but if they don't, you know, it's an eyesore. And why
I
do we
agree.
have to put up with it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Just Jean Pierce, just one thing tonight. Yes, yesterday's IDA meeting that was held here at the Village Hall. I'd like to ask, Rabbi, at some point in the meeting, it was said that Rabbi Shemtov, if he couldn't get his tax break for the 22 years, the tax relief on the building, the 4-story building he wants to build on the corner of North Road, in plain words, I'm going to use, then he won't be able to continue with it,
What's
and
gonna
he
happen?
will leave the building as it is, and they admitted it's an eyesore, it's a danger to the public, it's disgraceful to have it looking like that, but he didn't say these words. I'm saying them. Tough luck on us. If he doesn't get his tax relief, he won't be able to continue because he won't be able to afford to build the building. If that is the case and that happens, I think on the 21st or the 22nd, the IDA is meeting to give their final decision, whether they're granted or not. I think Mr. B, you was there yesterday. I don't know if you was there for the whole time. What will the village do then? Will you say, okay, you're going to have to pull it down if you're not going to build? You can't leave it like that.
Right, so there are certain things that the village has the authority to do, and that's if a building is considered dangerous and nothing's being done, I believe that the village has the authority to order it to be condemned and not
Yes.
condemned, to pull it down.
Yes, that
As
is
far
the
as to
code.
making, again, I'm not here to make any assumption what IDA is going to do, and I'm sure you're aware that the village has no authority over the IDA, and IDA is
That's
an
right.
independent organization
Mhm.
that makes their own decisions based on the information that they gather locally and in a wider area. So my suggestion is let's see what IDA says. And I don't know if IDA is going to grant them 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, or nothing at all. That's really up to IDA. I believe that he was present. And
He's seeking the 22-year relief.
right, but you know what? You
But
also have to
it's the
realize.
we've heard this many years, even before your time, way back. If a developer couldn't get what they want, they'd always use this. I call it a threat. Well,
Right,
if I
that's
don't
what
get it,
happened.
this is what.
I don't think I would call it a threat.
Well,
I would call it a negotiation.
Oh,
and
you're
that's what he's
politer
trying to
than
do.
me.
Well, you can call it a threat. Listen, these are people who are making. You want to call it a threat? You want to call it a suggestion? You want to call it whatever you want to call it? I don't think the village can really get involved directly, and I think that's something that is between the two of them. IDA is not going to be threatened by a developer of a 60 unit when they have dealt with units that are
I know.
buildings that are
No, I'm very
10
familiar
times as much
with
as big,
IDA,
right?
so I
No, but I'm just trying
know
to
how
tell
it
you,
runs.
I don't think, when you're saying all these things, you're assuming that IDA gets threatened by someone who
No,
says,
no,
I'm not
not
going to
the
build it if you don't
IDA,
give it to me for
like
22 years.
us.
Right. Well, us,
The
again,
village.
unfortunately, I have realized that there are certain things that we can do and certain things we can't do. And, I can agree with IDA or disagree with IDA. I don't think they give a darn what I say. But that said, I think we all know that I've said it many times that at least with other places that have come to the board, I said that we would want you to pay fully for the village taxes, and that's not going to be part of the IDA. As far as everything else, I think that's something that the school and the county and whomever is going to take up with them. But I don't want, if I have a control, and I wish I did have a control over who's going to get a tax break or not, I wouldn't want anyone to get a tax break when it comes to the village.
No, but mine is if he
If
does
he
not,
does
if he
not get it, and
decides he can't
right.
build, because he says it's such a hardship, then what will you do? It has to be
So you have
resolved.
to
This is so many years we have to look at that garbage.
Right, so I think
it
what's
should be pulled down now. It's
And,
unsafe.
I think Peter would agree that the board and the building department has the authority to condemn a building unsafe, and that building has to come down. Correct?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
But will you do it?
Yes, I will.
think
do.
at the last meeting we
Yes,
mentioned, I mentioned this, and you said,
No, I didn't. I don't
Yes,
think
I
I
did
ever said I
mention
would
this
not
at
do
the
it.
last
It's my understanding, Mayor,
trustees
that you have
meeting.
not taken any option off the table, including condemnation, that's a possible option. I don't know that the decision
I don't
has yet
know.
been made, but that depends on.
I don't know what you was talking about last meeting. I said that I'm not going to do
When
that.
I brought this up about the building being unsafe and I'm surprised it's still standing and it hasn't started.
Right. So I think we have given them time to do whatever they
You
have
have
to do. Let's see
more
what
than
happens
enough
with
time.
IDA, and we're getting the response within a week or two
21st or the 23rd?
of this month.
Yes.
So well, let's see what happens at that time and see how fast they're going to move forward. And if we have to get involved, I have no problem getting involved.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Jean.
I'll make this quick. Number one, before I forget, how about getting somebody with a can of silicone and spraying these seats so we don't have to hear this squeak all the time?
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much. A can of silicone would take care of it.
Okay. All right.
I know you want to go. Now Louis is going to throw rocks at me. Louis, what happened to taking down the 2-hour stop signs on Maple Street? We had this discussion at a meeting. Last meeting I was here.
Stop sign?
No, I don't mean, I'm sorry, not stop sign. There's 2-hour parking signs on Maple Street. We had this discussion.
Maple Street.
Instructed me to take down any signs. Somebody instructed me to take down.
I brought it up and they said take it down. So okay, that's A. And B, how about getting the stop sign at Church Street? Because the traffic is really getting heavy on Beach.
The school has parking.
We need a stop sign on Church Street.
Oh. I didn't know about this Maple Street. Did it come to our board?
Yes, it was the last meeting. we
No, that was
discussed it.
Orchard.
No.
It wasn't Maple.
No, I'm talking about the corner of Church and Beach.
Oh, the stop.
The stop sign. No, but I'm talking about taking down the signs on Maple.
Going a little fast. She's talking about two things. One,
Two things.
some 2-hour parking signs.
Right.
To be removed.
On where?
Those are on Orchard.
Those are on Maple. Those are on
And
Maple.
the other is she's requesting a stop sign on Church at Beach.
Right.
Because the traffic is getting heavy on Beach now,
To
and
place
it's going to
stop
happen
sign
one
at
of these
Beach.
days.
Or to remove this stuff.
No, place.
On Church, right. On
Church, the corner Church.
That I
'Cause you
remember
can't
we
see,
discussed.
you
That I
can't.
remember Maple.
I
I think-
wasn't instructed to do anything, so.
Right. I don't remember Church what the issue was.
with Church and Beach is that Beach is a primary street, or at least more of a primary street. Church is a small
Right.
tributary street coming out of the parking lot of the church and some residential. There is a stop sign on Beach Road. There is no stop sign on Church going into Beach Road.
Right.
Which is counterintuitive to what people on Beach Road might think. They come to Church, they might see a car coming up, and because it's a more minor road, people might stop at the stop sign and keep going, and somebody on Church might just plow through. So the problem is, Louis has told us over many years, going back 2 administrations, that when the church is letting out, putting a stop sign
Right. I
there
think that's what
will
we
cause a
discussed
very
last
big backup. So.
Well, that's not even the problem. The problem is we can't see. There's foliage. You come to the corner of Beach and Church as we're going
Is that ours or is it
east,
private? The foliage.
and you
Foliage is ours?
can't see.
No, that's on private property.
Can you just send them a notice that they need to clean up? So if that is easier to do. But I think the reason that we discussed about not putting a stop sign was that it would back up on Church, and that would
If the
cause
church is
if the
letting
church is
out
letting
a
out.
crowd.
And I don't even know if I mean, I haven't seen a
They-
large
they're-
crowd at the
no,
church.
School, there used to be the school there too.
But it's a dead end.
Right.
That was the idea, was to let the
problem is that drivers on Beach Road
Um,
do expect people on Church coming to stop.
And stop.
And they don't.
They don't stop, and it's. I mean, the problem is we can't see. That's all. We can't see
So,
when we
you
have
know,
to go.
Steve,
and-
if you can please make sure that they clean the foliage and then
Times have changed now in the area. That at one time there was a school there, and you needed to let. I don't know how active the church is.
I think that they used to have a folding. You told me once they had a folding stop sign or something.
Yes, they did have a folding stop sign there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because somebody would actually stand there and put it up for school hours.
Ah.
And then they fold it down.
Listen,
But
I don't
think
have an issue.
I'm okay with having a stop sign.
I have no issues with stop signs. I think stop signs can be safe.
No, I mean it's just to stop and having an accident.
But I
I'm not
think-
even concerned about that much traffic coming up.
All right.
I'm just concerned that we cannot see
All right,
to
then,
cross. That's all.
Bart, you want to take a look at it and then just talk to Louis and see if that's what it is, then we can direct you to do it.
If you put it on a stop sign, I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt to put a stop sign on Church, but I don't know how much traffic is coming off of Church.
It's not a
No,
lot.
she's afraid that somebody
I'm
just.
concerned about somebody. I'm concerned about an accident happening there. That's
Right.
what I'm
So I
concerned
think
about. I'm not concerned.
One thing I will say, I'm living there 22 years now.
I know. I've been
There
back.
hasn't been an accident.
Yeah, but we've had rollovers in the block down. 3 rollovers. So, you know.
On Mary's house, Sampino's house.
But there hasn't been an accident.
No, there hasn't. Well, I mean, it's not a lot of traffic. It's just that somebody's going to get T-boned. Okay, I
honestly, it's not a big deal to put a stop sign there. I don't think it'll hurt.
All right. So.
It'll be an all-way stop sign. at
Okay.
that location.
Fine.
Three-way stop.
All right.
Yeah, all way.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you're gonna put the stop sign, then you put the stop sign and all-way on the other ones as well. So
Right.
All three,
Do we want to take
all three stop signs, say all-way.
Oh, we have to put it on the next agenda? Okay, so we put it on the next agenda. Okay. Anybody else has any other comments? If not, going once, twice? No. All right. Move to adjourn. Move to adjourn. Yes, I think we need to discuss, we were going to discuss something else also, right? The